Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex topics by going straight to the source material. Today, we are deconstructing a crisis that has pushed the Middle East right to the tipping point.
So I want you to imagine something for a second. It's March 2026. You wake up, you check the news, and this is the headline staring back at you from The Guardian. The world's energy markets are absolutely spiraling, and they're facing a supply shock that's even worse than the oil crisis back in the 70s.
So what's causing all this panic? Well, Iran has effectively blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, which, is one of the most critical arteries for global trade on the planet. And the result? The price of oil just skyrockets past $100 a barrel, sending these massive shockwaves through an already shaky global economy.
Now, a crisis of this magnitude doesn't just happen overnight. It's really the final explosive chapter in a story of escalating tensions that's been unfolding for years, pushing the Middle East closer and closer to the edge.
To really understand the chaos of March 2026, we have to hit rewind. We need to trace the series of events that actually lit the fuse.
So from late 2023 onward, there was just this steady drumbeat of escalation. It all kicked off with the Gaza War, which destabilized the entire region. Then in mid-2025, you have the 12-day war. And that's when the long-running shadow war between Iran and Israel just exploded into open, direct conflict. The final straw, though, that came in February 2026, when coordinated U.S. and Israeli airstrikes across Iran ignited a full-blown regional war.
But inside this timeline of escalating conflict, there was one specific event that acted as a major turning point. It was a diplomatic shockwave that just shattered these long-held beliefs about security and the basic rules of the game in the Gulf.
The answer? Well, it lies in a direct and completely unprecedented attack on a country that was actively trying to mediate and prevent the very war that was now unfolding.
Okay, so in September 2025, an Israeli airstrike targeted a Hamas negotiating team, and they were housed in Doha, the capital of Qatar. Now, this wasn't just another military strike. As analysts at the Gulf Research Center pointed out, this was the moment that fundamentally changed the math for everybody in the region.
And this single location, this view of Qatar, it really pinpoints the moment where two fundamental pillars of regional stability were just dismantled. You see, the strike wasn't just on a physical building in Doha. It was a direct hit on the very ideas of diplomatic immunity and the reliability of security guarantees.
Just think about the implications here. First, the idea of diplomatic protection was just gone. Qatar was hosting these talks at the request of both the U.S. and Israel. So the attack sent this chilling message. Hey, being the peacemaker might actually make you a target. And second, it completely shredded the credibility of U.S. security guarantees. If a direct attack on a major non-NATO ally, one that hosts America's largest military base in the region, goes unanswered, well, what is that guarantee actually worth to anyone else?
So, this new, unpredictable world, where diplomats were targets and alliances seemed shaky, it forced the Gulf states to totally rethink their entire security playbook.
And this slide really captures that crucial pivot perfectly. The old playbook, over on the left, basically relying on the United States for security, that was now officially out the window. The new playbook, on the right, it's all about self-reliance. It's about building your own network of regional relationships, talking directly to your rivals like Iran, and creating a security system that isn't totally dependent on a single, faraway superpower.
And in response to all this instability, Gulf nations started investing heavily in their own diplomatic efforts. Meetings just like this one became way more frequent and way more important as regional leaders scrambled to build new frameworks for their own security.
The goal was, frankly, simple survival. In a world with unpredictable superpowers, the only rational move was to manage your risk locally. The new focus wasn't on picking a side between Washington and its rivals. It was about lowering the temperature in your own neighborhood by talking directly to your neighbors.
And this image right here, this shows the new strategy in action. Here you have the Gulf Cooperation Council meeting with Syria, a country that used to be a regional outcast. It's a perfect example of the new priority: engage everyone, even old enemies, to keep local fires from becoming raging regional infernos.
Now, this dramatic regional shift isn't happening in a vacuum, not at all. It's actually taking place against the backdrop of a massive change in the entire global order, one that is making the world a more dangerous place for everybody.
So analysts have a name for the world of 2026, a decentered and fragmented system. Think of it like this. The old rules-based order
was kind of like having a single agreed-upon rulebook for how countries interact. Well, that book is now being torn apart, and it's being replaced by a chaotic free-for-all where often might makes right. So what this really means is there's no single power or alliance that's strong enough to set the global agenda anymore. Instead, what you see is intense competition, you see weakened institutions like the UN, and you see all these regional powers trying to write the rules for their own backyards. It's a really unpredictable and often unstable situation.
So for the Gulf states, the goal isn't to try and fix this whole new global mess. They're focused on mediation, on de-escalation, and on strategic flexibility. It's a direct and honestly a pretty pragmatic response to a world where the old guarantees and the old rulebooks just don't apply anymore.
And so that leaves us with the most urgent question of our time. As the old order continues to crumble, leaving this huge power vacuum, who or what is going to write the new rules? And maybe more importantly, will those rules be written in ink at a negotiating table, or will they be written in blood on the battlefield?